I think theology's for the clergy. I just believe in Jesus.
Certain hermeneutics of eschatology demand an exegetical approach.
I think you shouldn't question what you were taught in church. Isn't that blasphemy or something?
Theology. Unplugged.
Welcome to Theology Unplugged. I'm Michael Patton, and this is Late Night Theology Unplugged, and we are live at all of our normal places. So if you're listening to this right now, you are listening to a live version. Well, I don't know if you are, because maybe you came and listened to it afterwards. But right now, late at night, on a Monday, we are doing a Theology Unplugged. So we got a little special one that we pulled together at the last minute, literally just before some of my guys are going to bed. We were able to pull this together, but it's based upon a blog I just wrote that I just thought would be good to talk about, especially with these two guys. You'll be familiar with these two guys because they've been with us before. It's both Tad and Ed. They were literally my last guests that I had on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this blog, and then they're just going to come in and discuss it and talk about it. So this blog here is based upon my 6-year anniversary of my recovery from opioid addiction. Probably if you've been around any time, you've known that I was addicted to opioids seriously addicted for a long time, for 5-6 years, on and off, probably for 7 years, but really, really hardcore for 4 years. I mean, just bad. I'm so lucky to be alive. But here's my reflection on my 6-year anniversary. And just forgive me as I read this. When my sister killed herself, my mom had her aneurysm, and my dad died within a few short years. I thought I was fine. More than that, I thought I was handling everything in a heroic way. In fact, considering all this, I was kind of proud of myself. However, I did not know how vulnerable I was. My mind set up a wall of protection so that I could stay strong for my family and help take the place of all that they had lost. This wall was hard to keep constructed, but I had to power through it for the sake of everybody. It was a perfect storm waiting for a major fall. So I took pain pills for my back while I was taking care of my mother. I did not know that they would replace the wall that I didn't even know I had constructed. When I would stop taking them, I didn't like the new world around me that didn't have this wall. I didn't know how to exist in this world and keep my head up. And if I did not keep my head up, who would keep the head up of my family? So from my perspective, for the health and well-being of everyone, I needed to take the pain pills. And of course, I was still in pain, having my back pain. So that gave me a perfect excuse. And there's not much to this post. I mean, we're almost done with it here. It's just kind of, here are my thoughts tonight, as I thought I'll post something real quick on Facebook. And I do this every year at the recovery. I reflect on what I have. I reflect trying to figure out what happened in all of those years. I thank you all, and I mean this from the depths of my heart, to everybody who is listening. I still can't believe how gracious you guys have been with me throughout all of this. People who say that the church is rejecting of people, that they cut you loose, that they are intolerant. I'm telling you, I didn't see that. I've seen it, and I may have even done it in other circumstances, but not with this and not with you guys. So I thank you for sticking with me. Even when I let you know, some of you don't flinch. I hurt a lot of people, a whole lot of people, and I'm sorry. And I can't get that back. I am not an abuse counselor, and I'm not too good at helping people through addictions. But I can put these little messages together and hope they mean something to someone. I guess my message is, no matter how strong you think you are, pain has its way of taking its toll one way or another. No matter how strong you think you are, we are all exceedingly weak. There are no superheroes under the sun. We all need to be lifted up together. And under the sun, many of you guys would recognize that's from the book of Ecclesiastes, basically saying on this earth. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in both Tad, who is in conversations with Tad that I've been doing. We've done 9 of them so far. You can find them on our channel. And Ed, who you may be familiar with, he's been with our ministry forever, but he's also done a few podcasts with us recently about UFOs. So guys, I'm bringing you in, and I'm just going to, that's his spray tan though.
Okay. All right.
No,
see if I can read it. There we go.
It's 95 degrees every day. And
It's what?
It's 95 degrees every day. And last week was vacation, so we took the kids to the amusement park. I got fried, my whole head.
Ed, tell him where you're at. He doesn't even know where you're at.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm in El Salvador, Central America.
El Salvador.
So that's why I'm tanned. I tend to be permanently tanned or sunburned or whatever it is. It's the way it is, man. But last week I was in the sun for like 12 hours a day for 2 days, and got burned up pretty good.
All right, well, Ed, let's start with you, and you might tell a little bit of your story, just so people know why it is that I have you on responding to this as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's 2 stories here. There's one pre-Michael and one post-Michael, current Michael, whatever. But I was raised in a family that just, like, we were the hosts of the parties, right? We had every party. I was drinking when I had a 6-pack of Colt. Well, me and my twin brother, I have a twin brother, and we split a 6-pack of Colt 45 on our 10th birthday. So I wasn't really raised, people say we were raised by wolves, because we were kind of on our own. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom was working 2 jobs her whole life, so she was never home. So I was raised by my teenage brother, who was 7 years older than me, and my sister, who was 10 years older than me. So I grew up with booze, with pot, partying. I wrestled, when I was junior in high school, senior in high school. We had a wrestling match on Wednesday night, and there was beat the clock night at the bar. My brother would come to the wrestling match and take me to beat the clock night after the wrestling match. I missed every Thursday probably during wrestling season. So that's how I grew up, and then as I got older, I was a chef in restaurants. From the time I started working in restaurants when I was 10. Always grew up around older kids, college kids. I was the boss when I was 14, ran the kitchen, and just grew up in a party lifestyle. You work hard, you play hard. My uncle used to always tell us, my uncle who I looked up to, I had 2 uncles I looked up to more than my dad, because my dad was never there. But my uncle would say, if you want to play with the big boys, you got to pay with the big boys, right? So I'd be out all night, drinking all night with the college kids, back in work, 6 o'clock in the morning, work till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's how I grew up. That was my high school years. That was my junior high school years. And then I moved to Florida. I was never really a pot smoker or anything. I was more like I used to sell these things that were called RJ8s, Yellow Jackets, when I was a kid. It was cheap speed. Sold them and I would buy them. And my brother would always bum them from me, so and never paid me back. But then he'd take me to boardwalks and so on. So it kind of just progressed from there, and I moved to Florida eventually when I was like 23. Cocaine was big. It was the early 80s, Miami Vice, all that crap, and then crack cocaine got popular. I tried that one time, got hooked, and went downhill. I was working 16, 17 hours a day, and I was homeless, sleeping in the back of a car, like literally in the back of a station wagon. Just the hatchback was up, and I was sleeping in the back of that, even though I was working 80 hours a week, because I spent all my money on drugs. But the thing is, I got saved when I was 18 years old. and which sounds weird because I was doing all this after I was already saved. And I think this is important. I'm sure there's going to be lots of people who are going to be like, no, you can't be saved in doing that stuff, right? But God never gave up on me. I gave up on him because I just felt like, what difference does it make, man? I'm doing this. And I remember laying for a couple of days, for like 4 or 5 days, I slept under a bridge. I went to the Marines. I wanted to get disciplined. So I went there, took the ASVAB, had the highest score in the Miami Basin in the Marines. ASVAB is the standardized test for joining the military. When the guy told me that, I was like, who are these people that are taking this test, right? Because I never had great grades in school or anything. But anyway, but then I started hiding from the recruiter because I knew I couldn't pass the drug test because I was high. But so I'm literally sleeping under the bridge in this town, Port Salerno, Florida, and I'm just praying to God, and I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this, but I don't know how to stop doing this. But the point is, even though I was running away from him, it's the prodigal son kind of thing. I was running away from him, but he always was there for me. He protected me through that, carried me through that until he restored me. And then, as you know, I fell again much later when I was older, when I was with you, right? Not with you, you were part of it, but during the ministry time, which was the highlight of my life. I felt so good and so close to God while I was your first TA and then running the other TAs, and that was like the high point of my life. But I was married at the time. She wasn't until, because a lot of times we stayed up till 2, 3 in the morning, just talking theology, talking God, talking experiences, and then the pressures of we tried to start our own company and everything for the theology program, and it wasn't good, man. It wasn't good because.
How long had you had stopped by the time you were starting back up here?
It was 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 9 years, between those 9 years, you're doing the theology program with me. You're my teacher's assistant, and you and I start a business together.
Right.
And then, was it a sudden fall?
You know what? And listen, let me say this right up front. Every single thing I've ever done is my fault. It's not my ex-wife's fault. It's not certainly not God's fault. It's not your fault. It's not even what I'm going to say now, and this is why I'm leading up to this. We had a backer, right, that was doing it, and we went from trying to build an application to do online communications and all kinds of cool stuff, right, like for the theology program, so that we could run the classes really well and put everything on screen. And this is way back before Zoom and all that stuff. But then it turned into like profit, and that pressure, I didn't adjust to that well. Yeah. I didn't handle that well because now it wasn't me saying profit. No. But I'm not going to.
We had an investor that was doing that to both of us.
Yeah. So we're like, okay, give us a year or 8 months or whatever, 10 months to get this thing set, and then 4 months is like, hey, can we go live? Hey, what if we shared cameras and did surgeries and all this, and we can sell this, and so that all happened, and that's all true. But how I handled it, that's still on me, dude. That's still on me, and I failed. I fell apart because I'm dealing with 14 Indian developers. They're telling me, yeah, tomorrow we're going to release this, and I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning having conversations with them, right? Yeah. So I don't want to belabor this point, but the point is, the kind of what you said, right? You had to hold it together, and you can't hold it together because you're a human being. You're fallible, right? You were trying to be strong. I was trying to be strong, and then then I was coming down to Oklahoma every 1 week a month, things like that, and so that was kind of an escape for me because I could try and sneak out, and it's just the way it goes, man. It's like we hide from who we actually are. And so that's why I'm saying everything I ever did in my life is my own personal responsibility. I recognize that. But the cool thing is, man, God pulled me through all of it. God was still there. And that's the important thing for me personally, is that even though I screwed up, it's kind of like the story of David, right? And I'm not David, but
Yeah.
David is not your moral leader in the Bible. David's an example of somebody who just trusted in God. I felt bad. I felt guilty that for a couple of years I even went through a point where I was just mad at God. Well, you made me this way. Like this is where this like you're Calvinist. You call me Arminian or probably open theist more than Arminian.
I do.
But anyway, but life. And I'm sorry, Tad. I'm throwing out theological crap here. Right? But this is what I was always accused of. And you guys can talk about.
Trust me, Tad will be looking that up tonight, and we'll be talking about it tomorrow. So
yeah, no, that's cool. But
I'm going to ask you to.
But the point is, and this is, I believe all three of us can agree with this, that God carries us through. He's not happy with what we're doing. He doesn't approve of what we're doing, but he's there, man. He's there. Like you said, you're just trying to be strong. I was trying to be strong. Guess what? I'm not strong.
So yours was crack cocaine too, right? Crack cocaine is.
Yeah.
And how long has it been since you've done that?
15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And we know, Tad, I know your story. So, I mean, I'm not going to get you to go through. I mean, you can tell what you want.
Yeah.
But people have already said your story. You can tell as much as you want, like I said, but your reaction as well to the post that I just posted.
I don't know how you can keep coming up with different posts that are so deep and relevant. And every time you do it, it touches me in a different way, you know, and you've got these, it's this, sometimes the same story, but the way that you write it in a different way, because it's so passionate to you and so personal, I feel like it's a different message that I get every single time.
Yeah.
And that's just being honest. And I feel like, you know, I went through all of this with you, and so did Ed, clearly. And, I'm kind of embarrassed that I haven't met Ed before. I mean, that's on me. You know, I probably should have just sought you out and found you. But the ones that every time you write something about, you know, sweet Angie, I learned something else kind of about myself, not kind of, absolutely about myself and about what you are going through. And I know you and I talked a lot during that time, and we talked a lot all the time, so that's not fair. But
no, but I know it was during a pivotal part whenever Angie died, and whenever we went through all that, it was kind of our first transition between me and you. We had talked for a while about God, and we had conversations during the funeral that were very significant. And then again, you know, we've picked them back up a whole lot more recently, but it's part of your process. I remember your process with Angie.
Leading up to the funeral, I know all the, and I don't want to get too personal, but all the processes that you went through with her and the appointments you went to with her. And that hit me in a lot of different ways that I haven't probably talked to you about, but I'm like, I cannot believe this guy is having to go through this process with his sister. And you know what I'm talking about. But
yeah.
And man, it's a crazy little journey that we all go on. And it's that's a lot to take in, Ed. Thank you for sharing that with me and everybody else. That was it's a great story. I appreciate it. I respect it. And
Ted, I know I've told this story before about the conversation that we had over right after the funeral over at my mom's house, but I'm just going to say it again because, again, that here it is, setting up all of this stuff, and you got to understand, people, whenever we're talking about my addiction that I started with, that I wrote the post about. We're talking, I had already been through, my early 20s, I mean my teens, high school, early 20s, all the way until I was 21, to where I quit everything. I dropped it all, committed myself completely over to the Lord, said I'm not doing this anymore, I'm not living this lifestyle anymore, and stopped drinking. I never thought I'd pick anything like this back up again. I mean, I thought that was way behind me. It was a testimony that was past. And I would just tell other people about it for the rest of my life. There was no way I would get myself involved in something like this again, because the Lord is my center. He's my focus. And I'll just tell everybody else how to have this same armor that I have, so that they can live the rest of their lives without having any type of problem the way I felt I was going to. And so that's the thing that broke me even more, was falling back into it at that point. I mean, blindsided by right whenever I started taking those pain pills, knowing what they were doing to me, and then a year or two later saying it's time to come off, and knowing there's no way I can get off these. I am completely addicted, and I thought it was bad whenever I was in my teens and 20s. This was so much worse, so much worse. Not just because it was I felt like I was betraying God and betraying people, but it really was actually worse. It was harder for me to get away from. Yeah, Pat, go ahead.
And man, it's going to make you mad at me.
No, ask anything.
What's the one thing that most people regret that are living through someone they know that's going to commit suicide? It's that one thing they wish they would have said later. You always think about that one thing. You know what I mean? It's like, God, what if I said this? What if I said that? Is it too personal to ask you in front of everybody?
No, not at all. I mean,
your one thing would be to say.
Well, it'd be exactly what we said the other day. It would be not saying something, because I think Angie felt so alone, and that's part. But whenever you're going through something that Angie,
I really think that there's something that, because we've talked about this, and I know where I'm kind of leading you right now. Actually, I think there's a thing that you wished you would have said to her, and your dad said this to me at her funeral. Something he wished he would have said to her. And Jason James just said, I wish you would have hit on me, but that
sounds exactly like Jason.
That was before this happened. But there's people out there, Michael, that I think really are holding on to someone, and they don't want to say the wrong thing, but they're scared of saying, like, what's my last thing going to be? Because they know what's going to happen. And I just think, if you had a last word to say to someone that that's going to happen to, that you've been trying to save, what's that one thing you wish you would have said? And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to.
No. I mean, all I can do, Tad, is I'm going to go back to what I was saying just a minute ago, and that's that I said too much to her. I did not let her know. I acted like it was completely different. It was completely foreign what she was going through. I cannot believe you're going through this. Just like a lot of people, whenever I was on the drugs, they would say, I cannot believe you're on these drugs. I cannot believe this. It's this idea of, acting like I would never do this if I were you. And so I'm so much better than you. And if you could just be like me, that's what happens whenever you fill it up with advice and judgment. And I was doing that out of fear to Angie. That's what I was doing, was filling it up with all of this stuff. And that was part of the armor I had on that made my own fall. I mean, here's me saying there's no way I could fall like Angie. There's no way that I could break like Angie. Whenever inside, while this is going on with her, it's setting up a foundation for exactly what she ended up going through with the depression. Because whenever I was on these pain pills and everything else, I was so depressed. And I was like, I know exactly what she feels like now. For the first time, I wish I wouldn't have said this and this and this and this. I just wish I would have said, and here's what, if you want me something positive, I would have said, you're not alone. I promise you.
Okay. All right.
But you feel alone. And even whenever people say that, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Would you mind if I ask one more question to Ed and then I'm done?
No, sure. You better be done for the night.
Yeah. Ed.
I hope not, actually.
Huh? Anyway, Ed, so when you took that first hit, all right, I mean, we're all friends here.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do now. This is kind of my new thing, right? The crack.
Yeah.
This is, okay, I found something here. And at what point, because I've asked this to a lot of people because I've always wondered myself, actually, at what point do we think that we're addicted? Is it the first point, the second hit, the second drink, the third thing, and then you were suicidal, right? I think you said something like that. And I was wondering,
I don't know, suicidal, but I was desperate.
Yeah, but at what point were you like, this is what I'm going to do now, and I don't care about anything else?
You know, that's a really good question. Let me tell you about the very first night. I need about 2 or 3 minutes to tell this story.
No, dude.
All right, you got 6 or 7.
So I was working for a development company, a land development company down in Florida. This is 83, 84, probably 84. And there was this one guy, he was we did these poured concrete buildings, right? So they set up these forms, they pour the concrete. So the one guy, this guy John, he was a black dude.
We leave out color and name.
No, we're not going to leave out color because it's very relevant to the story. So,
okay.
Florida, maybe, I'm not politically correct. So if Michael gets banned, that's his problem. I don't have a YouTube channel, so. I don't post on Facebook hardly ever. So anyway, so John is like, him and I become best friends because I'm the assistant purchasing agent, but I'm also in charge of the compound. I'm sending everybody where they're going. I'm making sure they have the right equipment, blah, 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 every morning. So John is the foreman of the concrete crew, the finishers. He's a black dude. So every Friday, the crew from the compound, which is our main unit, we all go to this place called Tony Pasca's. It's a pool hall, but it's Florida. We're in Stuart, Florida. It's all biker dudes and, not flannel shorts because it's hot, flannel shorts with cut off sleeves, whatever.
Michael.
So we're playing pool, and he's like, I'm like, how you doing, man? He's like, I'm okay, but you know what? I'm the only black dude in this whole bar. And a couple of the guys are racist, right? Making comments and stuff. And so he goes, I have my in-laws own a bar. How about you come literally to Blacktown? Because that's what they used to call it. So how about you come to Blacktown? You come to my in-laws bar and you and I can play pool. I'm like, cool. So I started hanging out for like 6 months. I hung out with him there. One night I go there, he's not there. So there's another little bar, a little lounge. It's more of a bottle club type of place. And I go there, and that's the first time I was just looking for John Hewlett. And so I go there, guy's like, hey, come here, man. We go in the bathroom, first hit of crack. That night, I took my older brother was living with me in Florida. This guy convinced me, grab his VCR, which back then they were expensive. Grab that, we'll front that, get some drugs, we'll sell them, we'll make more money back. And we smoked it all. So that's how it started. Honestly, just being real. But it was just I had fun with my friend John. And then after that, though, like when the question, when did you realize you were addicted? I I don't think you really, I don't think you admit that for a long, long time.
No, you
There's
don't.
the bottom, like, it's just like, I know,
Because
I'm good. I still got my house. Well, my apartment. I had a condo. I got my condo. I'm working. I'm making money. I'm so like until you lose everything, you kind of don't really say, "Yeah, this is a problem."
yeah, or until you really try to stop and you can't stop.
Yeah, you're I'm like, yeah, I'm spending $20 a night on crack. I'm spending $50 a night. I'm spending 100. Like I said, I was working, dude. I was literally, Ted, I was working 16 to 18 hours a day, sleeping in the back of a car, and I didn't think I was an addict. I didn't think I was an addict. You know why? Because tomorrow I got up and still went to work. I still made money.
Yeah,
I wasn't robbing anybody. I wasn't stealing from anybody, right?
Mhm.
I'm working. I'm earning this money, and what I do with my money is my
Mhm.
business, right? So it's a weird thing. I never robbed anybody to get high. I always
Well, Ed, I was writing blogs at the
yeah,
time whenever I was doing this. So not only was I thinking the same way as you are, but I'm like, if I've got a problem, then God wouldn't be using me the way He is, because I'm still writing blogs. I'm
I
still
was just thinking
teaching at
that.
Credo House, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're right though. Like I didn't know you had a problem until like 3 years into your problem that you just blogged about it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Well, I'm sorry. What the heck?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what the HE double tooth fix?
Well, I think at that time, that is the first time a lot of people had heard about it.
Yeah,
But it certainly wasn't the first time a lot of people around me knew about it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't realize we were coming into like an NAAA meeting. I thought we were going to talk about the blog.
Oh, the blog is about my addiction.
This is
The
a
blog wasn't about this though.
no, but let's check this out, Ted. And my God, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Maybe I feel guilty.
the thing is, Michael said something really important. He had to be strong in his mind for the family, when really what he needed to do at that point was humble himself before God, recognize this is out of my control. I can't. Hey, we all know the Serenity Prayer, right? Now, I'm not a 12-step guy personally. I was. I didn't really get clean until I stopped doing 12-step, but I don't push that thought on anybody because it works for a lot of people. The 12 steps themselves are good. But when I really hit bottom back in New Jersey, back in the mid '90s, I ended up in NA, and guess what? It was all like praise be to Allah, Amalak Alaikum, or whatever. I like as we used to have our own saying for that. I won't do that right now. But anyway, salami and bacon. But anyway, but you could not say praise be to Jesus Christ. I'm clean and sober today. Just for today, through Jesus Christ, I'm clean and sober. But you could say, praise be to Allah, I'm clean and sober for today. And then I met guys who just trained, and then I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. I switched over to AA. And then in AA, now there's a lot of Catholics, and I'm not going to go into all that. This, from our last podcast that I can talk for a long time. But I'm seeing guys that now they're addicted. I'm in Seattle City, New Jersey, half an hour from Atlantic City. These guys that got 15, 20 years of sobriety, they're addicted to gambling. They're addicted to sex. They're addicted to whatever. Right? They're cheating on their wives. I'm like, pretty sure that's not part of what the 12 steps are about. The 12 steps were written by Christians to whatever degree that they believed at the time. Like the whole, live, one day at a time is from the Sermon on the Mount. That's Jesus saying, hey, every day has its troubles of its own. It's from the Sermon on the Mount.
Can I chime in just for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think if you're looking at the 12 steps and addiction and people talking and putting it with religion, they in AA and NA, as you know, it's usually just spiritual. You got to believe in something. It doesn't have to be God.
Higher power.
A higher power.
That's what they call it. But that wasn't how it started.
So that's on them. You had your way, which I respect the hell out of. I mean, I do. I respect everybody's way of doing whatever makes them happy and better. But we got to be careful when we talk about.
Well,
you know what? You do it. You say whatever you want. I'm just telling you my side too.
No, I agree with you, and that's why I probably need to stay off of it, because here's the thing: the church is hypocritical, right? The church is hypocrisy, but so are most of the groups in NA and AA. But the principles are right. The principles of the Bible are right. What the Bible teaches is right. Human beings screw up everything. We mess everything up. And so I'm telling you from my experience. I'm not telling you that it doesn't work, because I believe I think Michael's still a 12-step program, and I've never told him this, because I'll never tell anybody don't do it. I can only go from my personal experience. I see you cheating on your wife. I see you, losing your car because you bet on the Super Bowl or whatever. And I'm like, you just shifted your addiction, dude. You didn't actually deal with the issues, right? The fourth step and the fourth step, like, just come clean, man. Come clean. Outside of Christ, you're nothing.
The thing that I've been told, the thing that I've thought a lot is this, that I must have been bottling stuff up, right? I mean, yeah, I must have not been dealing with whatever it was that I was going through, with all the stuff that happened with Angie and all the problems in my life. And
I read that in your blog. I read that. I don't know if Ty did or not, but that was, for me, that jumped out.
Yeah, and that's the deal. And I did write it in such a way. I was bottling stuff up. I built a wall to protect myself from it. But you know what, Ed? Here's the most important thing, and I've thought about this afterwards too. I thought about this after I wrote the blog, trying to figure out how to put this in, or if I should. But I don't know how not to bottle stuff up. It's just not built within me. It doesn't come with the program. It doesn't come with men's program, especially.
No, we don't have instructions.
Huh?
We get proverbs, but not real deep instructions. Like, do this, do this, do this.
And the only thing I can say at this point is people would say, hey, I'm not bottling things up. I didn't think I was bottling things up. Yeah, and if you were to convince me that I was bottling stuff up, I would have said, okay, what am I supposed to do? I don't know really what you're asking me to do now. How do I let this out? How am I not letting it out in ways that I should? What are the healthy ways that I'm supposed to be going? Because I did not know I was messing up.
Right.
And, I guess the only thing I could say, and maybe you can say something to this, or I don't know, is to say, you've got to sit down and talk about it as if there is a problem that you don't know about is there. Because if you're going through something and you feel like, hey, I'm doing pretty good with this, it's not hurting me. I'm taking care of things. And yes, I'm emotional. I'm sad, but I'm not as sad as I thought I was going to be. No. Yeah, I can't believe this happened. But you know what? I see all these people fall. I didn't fall apart. That's what I was thinking. And it was like everybody in one way or another will bottle stuff up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, if you really cared about the people.
100%. Yeah.
And sitting down and
not necessarily for a bad reason either, Michael. It's kind of for, like, why you were doing that was a good reason, right? You're trying to protect your family. You're trying to hold everything together in a time where, there's a gap, right? Like, I met you post Angie before your mom had the stroke. And then I came and I stayed at your house several times, right? And I don't want to dishonor your dad, right? So, but he was struggling, right? And your mom's laying in bed and you're doing everything, and it's his wife, but he's not really taking care of her. And I'm not trying to dishonor him in any way.
Yeah, my dad.
Yeah. Because, like, my dad, I have my own struggles with, right? But the point is, when you read your posts, in your mind, it's the right thing to do. Be strong. We're taught as a man, be strong. But when we're taught, the Bible is like, lay down on the floor, face down, and just cry. But that's not how society. Now you're weak.
Yeah.
You're weak if you just fall apart before the Lord, and
Yeah.
just or before anybody, and that's a shame, because our weakness is His strength, and I'm not trying to be preachy. It's just reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I guess in the end, what I would tell people is this. I know we've gone a lot longer than I said we were going to go, but what I would tell people is this. I didn't know that I needed I didn't know I had a problem that was going to be, I was going to set a wall up towards. As far as the suffering I went through, I thought I was making it through. And the thing is, whenever you're going through this stuff, there's going to be people who express it in all different ways. I mean, women and men express it differently, but even among men, you're going to express it differently. And you must understand this, that you're not going to be able to get through those times without sitting down and working them out with someone. And if you're not having, if you say, hey, I'm fine, then that's an odd thing. There's some reason why you're fine that's not real.
Yeah, you're probably lying.
Yeah, you're lying to yourself. So it's just sit down with a counselor and say, hey, listen, I do have a problem because I feel fine. It'll help me work through this. That's the thing I would do different now. I would go to a counselor and I'd say, I need help working through that. I don't think I need help.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
You get the tragedies like that, that's what's going to happen. You will deal with it one way or another. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Tad and Ed.
Thanks, Dad. It's good to meet you, man.
You bet. Hey, I love you. Conversations with Tad, bro.
I love both you guys.
You guys are both so honest. I really appreciate it. I love you ask good questions. Michael gives mediocre answers most of the time. So that's the thing for us.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I love it. I love your honesty.
All right. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, cool.
All right. Love you, Michael.
Love you, bro. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. This has been, again, a special edition of Theology Unplugged. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I mean, it obviously is something meaningful to me, meaningful in my life, and both of those guys have been through stuff as well, and that's why I brought them in and wanted to get their take on this. But we're going to keep on doing this and bringing people in. Me and Tad are going to keep on having our Converse with Scholars, and me and Ed are also going to do something coming up to where Ed is responding to something that he nitpicks about with me, because that's what he's done for 20 years. He has been my professional nitpicker because he straightens me out in all the theological areas. Says, Michael, you're doing fine except for right here. So I'm going to get him to tell me where I need to be corrected, and we're going to keep on doing that as well. Until next time, I appreciate everybody and all of your support. I appreciate your prayers. That's all I'm talking about right here now, is your prayers that you have given to me during this time and just staying with me. I mean, honestly, I still can't believe it. You stuck with me through it all. So I do appreciate that. And that's a testimony forever.
Theology